Welcome back. This time we're going to start slicing this up and export it into Dreamweaver. HTML format, Dreamweaver is what reads it, and we're going to convert this basically from one giant picture into a bunch of tiny little pictures with some table setup commands that Dreamweaver will then be able to read and help us work within. The first thing we're going to want to do is make sure you're clicked outside of everything and fit your canvas. This will close your canvas down around the glow. It'll make it so that you don't have to worry quite so much about how this is going to end up looking on the other side. Now we begin our slicing. So come over here, grab your slice tool, and well, first I'm going to try my web layer. You'll see this weird little green film here. That is basically something that will tell Fireworks what to do with this section, how to cut it up. So you want to make sure that your slices are right on. So I'm going to come over here now to the slice tool and just draw a slice from the top there down to the start of my buttons. And you'll see over here, now we have one slice up here. I'm going to do the same thing down at the bottom. I'm going to grab and drag, and I'm going to drag this slice actually a little bit taller. This is because I am completely okay with having a little bit of this down in the footer as well. What I definitely don't want to get is a footer that keeps repeating, and this big area in the center is going to be what expands on our website to fit our content. And then I'm going to fill the gap in between there and my buttons, and make sure you drag all the way over on all of these. So if you've got it set up right, it should look something like this. Now we don't really need to worry about these areas because we're going to tell it to export areas without slices anyway, so that won't be so much of a problem. But everything else should be covered with this green film. And again, this is what your website looks like. This is what the program sees and needs to know to export it out. Make sure that your lines aren't overlapping, and whatever you do, don't slice back over your buttons. Otherwise it's going to think that this is just one slice instead of the 5 slices that we need it to be. Now what this allows us to do is when we export this out, Fireworks is going to say, okay, well this is now its own little picture and a cell on a table. This will be its own little picture, 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 and picture. And then when it gets over to Dreamweaver, Dreamweaver is going to read all those table cell instructions and then put the pictures back in there. And we'll take a look at what we end up with momentarily. So now let's export this out. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Export. Now the first thing we have to do is get ourselves set up for our website. So this is a previous trial website, so I'm going to go back, and right on my desktop I'm going to make a new folder called New Trial Website. And what we're basically doing is preparing the structure of what we're going to be using later, so we might as well get into that right now as well. I'm going to open this folder. You'll see there's nothing inside of it. I'm going to first rename my file here to something that's actually useful. I'm going to call it graphical layout. I want my HTML and images exported. I definitely want my HTML file, and I want my slices. Now I definitely don't want the current slices only. I do want areas without slices because of this little piece over here. And I also want to put my images in a subfolder, and this will just help me keep them located properly. So, back into my new trial website, I'm going to create a new folder which I'll call Images, and since the Images folder is going to be used by other items as well, I'm going to make a special little subfolder called Layout Bits. I'm going to open that, and then I'm going to make sure I click Select Layout Bits. You should see then that this turns into the new path, and what that's going to do is take all of these little individual pieces and put the pictures in there. The table will still be in the form of this type of file, and it's going to export that as an HTML. So let's go ahead and click Save. And now I'm also going to save my work, something that I should have been doing the whole time. And so graphical layout, and I'll just toss that on the desktop for now. Not very organized of me, but we'll have to make do with that. Now, if we wander into Dreamweaver, we're going to set up our site. So you go to New Site, and if you click the Advanced tab, if it shows up looking like this wizard, just come over to the Advanced tab. Right now, we're just going to be dealing with our local info. So the site name will be my trial site. And now we have to find our folders. So I hope you remembered where you put yours. Mine is on the desktop. I just need to scroll through here. Scroll. New trial website. What this allows you to do is tell... Oops, might help if I actually got into that folder. There we go. See how it says select new trial website? That's the one I want. What this allows me to do is tell Dreamweaver where to find all of my files. And for my default images folder, I can actually just highlight this, copy it, paste it, because my images folder is actually just a folder within that one that says images. Save myself a little bit of browsing there. And then we don't need the remote info or any of this because we haven't developed that yet. And click OK. It now reconfigures to show you your site, and we have our graphical layout and all of our little pieces. And you can see that they actually don't have very original names. Graphical layout, R2, C3, F2, things like that. The one we're concerned with right now is checking to make sure everything made it in one piece. So we'll drop down here to graphical layout and just open that up. And if everything has come over properly, you should see that you now have actually all these little pieces. And look, even that one's its own little piece. A bigger piece here, piece down here. So it should have only exported over the items that you needed. Publish this out, and you can see our buttons still work just fine. So now we've got it over in Dreamweaver. So from here on out, we're going to start working on developing our template and then putting in content. Have a good one.